Hey everybody, Pastor Hans here. Thanks Daily Dosers for tuning in today. This week on the Daily Dose, our theme is the dog days of summer. We're in this final stretch of the summer. It's August, and we know that the seasons are going to change. Change is right around the corner. But before we get into that new season, we thought it'd be great to pause amid these dog days and just reflect, to think about our relationship with God, our walk with God. And today I want to dive in with you to probably, it is the most famous verse in the Bible, John 3:16. You see it on bumper stickers, on t-shirts. You see it in the end zone at football games, John 3:16. I probably don't have to read it, but I'm going to read it. It goes like this: For God so loved the world, say it with me, that he gave his only Son, his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. Here's what's interesting. All my life, when I've read that verse, especially when I was younger, for some reason, I always got hung up on that part of the passage that says, those who believe in him. Those who believe in him. I always took that passage to mean that those who believe in him get sort of special benefits. They get sort of special perks from God. I always read it as though, if I'm part of that club of the good believers, well, then I'm in. I get something. I get a sort of reward for it. When I was in high school, I worked at a restaurant. It was a buffet restaurant. It was called the Royal Fork Buffet. It was in Fargo, so if any of you are from around here, maybe you ate at it at one time. It was this huge buffet. It was gigantic. I started out, my first job, this is terrible. My job was to bread chicken for the buffet line. And we were taught meticulously how much breading goes on each part of the chicken. It was like this massive assembly line. We were making chicken. Then I got a promotion. And my next job was that I was the guy who stood at the end of the buffet line cutting meat. And I was taught meticulously how big of a slice of prime rib I was to give every single customer. Every slice was to be exactly the same. You see, when I think about that verse, John 3:16, I had this idea that to be a believer, to get those benefits, I had to sort of conform. I had to be like all the other good Christians, or at least what I thought was a good Christian. I grew up in a church where there were all these rules, and that to be a good Christian meant that you live your life in a right way. You conform to a certain way of living. You were to sort of like cutting that meat, to be just the same as all the others. And consequently, being someone who maybe sometimes swims against the stream, who sometimes likes to take my own path in life, I felt a whole lot of guilt. I felt a whole lot of shame. In fact, there were times where growing up, I felt as though God was embarrassed of me. That God just was upstairs looking down at me and wishing that I'd get my act together. You see, the message that I got from John 3:16 was this: Hans, you got to get it right. If you want whatever God's toting, you've got to get it right. But what I've come to learn is that what the author of the book of John was actually getting at here is that not that you need to get it right. Rather, it's that for God, you are already all right. You see, you are all right by God. If you keep reading, John 3:17 uncovers this for us. I actually think, maybe I'm a little biased, but I actually think at football games, on bumper stickers, on t-shirts, it should say John 3:17 rather than John 3:16. Because here's what John 3:17 says. For God did not send his Son into this world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him. Let me read that again, just so you can hear it. For God did not send his Son into this world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him. You see, God didn't send his Son into this world so that we would conform, so that we would all look the same, so that we could all follow a certain set of rules. No, God sent his Son into this world to save people like you and me, people whose lives are messy, people who sort of bumble through life and don't always get it right. God came into this world so that you and I would know we are already all right with God. Folks, you are all right with God. Folks, I'm grateful you tuned in today. If you're watching on Facebook, would you share this with somebody you care about? If you're watching on YouTube, hit the bell so you get notifications of future daily dose. And last but certainly not least, if you're watching on Cable Access 181, invite a friend to watch with you. Have a good one.